Imagine standing inside a legendary arena. The house lights drop. 15,000 fans erupt in unison, their phone lights transforming the massive concrete bowl into a glowing constellation of pure energy. The bass drops, shaking the very foundation of a building that has hosted legendary world champions, historic rallies, and iconic rock royalty for over half a century. To anyone standing in that crowd, owning a venue like this seems like the ultimate financial trophy. You own a monument to cultural history, and every single ticket sold represents pure, unadulterated cash flowing straight into your bank account. Except, it does not. Here is the brutal truth that the live entertainment industry rarely talks about. When a superstar sells out your historic 15,000-seat arena, you do not take home the ticket money. In fact, after the artist takes their massive guarantee and the promoter takes their cut, the venue owner often walks away with less than 10% of the gate. If you own a converted historic arena, you are not actually in the concert business. You are running an ultra-high-stakes hospitality, parking, and industrial maintenance operation, trapped inside a 60-year-old concrete vault that bleeds cash every single minute the stage lights are off. Not all historic arenas are created equal. When a municipal coliseum or vintage sports palace loses its primary sports franchise, owners generally pivot into one of 4 distinct operational models, each with vastly different risk profiles and revenue mechanics. The first model is the pure music palace. In major metropolitan markets, an operator completely strips out the sports identity to build a temple purely for touring musicians. By eliminating hockey ice systems and basketball locker rooms, they optimize every square inch for sound quality, artist luxury, and lightning-fast tour turnarounds. Revenue here is driven by high-frequency routing, massive food and beverage spend, and lucrative corporate naming rights. The second model is the mid-scale civic auditorium. Found in secondary and tertiary markets, these are vintage armories, municipal auditoriums, or historic college fieldhouses. Because they cannot support the weight of modern stadium-sized arena tours, they cater to mid-tier touring acts, comedy tours, and regional events. Their revenue model relies heavily on facility surcharge fees, local sponsorships, and sometimes municipal operational subsidy. The third model is the hybrid multi-flex arena. Rather than committing purely to live music, these converted venues preserve floor flexibility. They host 40 concerts a year, but fill the remaining calendar with competitive esports tournaments, corporate conventions, touring circus production, and exhibition sports. Their revenue relies on calendar density rather than per-event music margins. The final model is the historic anchor in an entertainment district. In this model, the arena itself is actually a loss leader. The operator uses the historic venue as a cultural magnet to drive foot traffic into surrounding assets they also own, such as adjacent hotel, parking garages, retail plazas, and high-end restaurants. The arena breaks even on paper, but powers a multi-million-dollar real estate ecosystem. Buying a decommissioned historic arena often looks like a bargain on paper. A city or private seller might offload a vintage 1960s facility for a fraction of the cost of building a new billion-dollar stadium. But the purchase price is merely a down payment on a mountain of hidden capital expenditures. First is the acoustic decapitation. Historic arenas were engineered for a purpose directly opposed to live music. They were designed to amplify noise. Mid-century architects used reflective concrete surfaces and domed ceilings to make 10,000 sports fans sound like 50,000. For a concert venue, that echo is fatal. Turning an echo chamber into an acoustic sanctuary requires millions of dollars in acoustic baffling, specialized sound dampening wall panel, and structural dampening treatments across the entire roof structure. Next is the rigging load deficits. A standard rock or pop tour in 1975 traveled with a few thousand pounds of lights and speakers. Today, a top-tier arena tour travels with up to 200,000 pounds of automated lighting rigs, giant high-definition video walls, and heavy line array sound systems. Vintage steel trusses were never engineered to hang that kind of deadweight. Venue owners must spend tens of millions reinforcing structural steel beams, rebuilding roof grids, and upgrading electrical substations just to meet the baseline technical riders of modern touring artists. Finally, there is historical preservation and remediation. If the building carries landmark status, every single renovation becomes exponentially more expensive. You cannot simply knock down a wall to widen a concourse. You must restore vintage facades using specialized materials, abate decades of buried asbestos and lead paint, replace ancient cast iron plumbing systems, and install modern elevators, all while complying with strict historical preservation boards and modern accessibility mandates. This brings us to the core economic paradox that governs the entire business. The primary threat to a concert venue is not the cost of putting on a show. It is the catastrophic expense of an empty room. In a standard sports arena, the venue owner enjoys a built-in baseline of 40 to 50 guaranteed dates provided by their home sports franchise, backed by multi-year season ticket commitments and contracted broadcast revenue. A converted music arena has no home team. There is no guaranteed baseline. Every single morning the sun rises on an empty arena. The fixed costs remain identical. The debt service on the renovation loan does not sleep. The specialized insurance premiums do not pause. The climate control systems required to preserve massive indoor spaces continue running. The full-time facility engineers, security managers, and administrative staff still get paid. When the building is dark, it generates $0 in parking, $0 in concession, and $0 in ticketing fees. Yet the building burns tens of thousands of dollars a day just by existing. In this business, silence is the loudest and most expensive sound you will ever hear. To understand how this economic engine operates in the real world, consider the transformation of major metropolitan arenas over the past 2 decades. Most notably, the historic Coliseums of Southern California and the United Kingdom. When a legendary multi-purpose arena in the Los Angeles basin lost its professional basketball and hockey tenants to a gleaming new downtown development, conventional real estate logic dictated that the aging building should be bulldozed for suburban housing or commercial warehouses. Instead, an entertainment conglomerate acquired the property and executed an aggressive modernization strategy. First, they eliminated the suite divide. They removed hundreds of intermediate luxury suites that pushed general seating back, bringing the entire audience closer to the stage to create an intimate amphitheater feel inside an 18,000-seat bowl. Second, they focused on acoustic-first engineering. They lined the interior with specialized acoustic fabric and installed massive structural steel reinforcement grids capable of holding the heaviest touring productions on Earth. Third, they built the Backstage Palace. They converted old team locker rooms into world-class hospitality suites for artists, complete with private catering halls, production offices, and seamless indoor load-in facility for a dozen semi-trucks. The financial gamble paid off. By focusing purely on music, the venue eliminated the scheduling conflicts that plague sports arenas. An artist could book a 4-night residency on a Friday through Monday without worrying about a Sunday afternoon basketball game, forcing them to tear down their stage. The venue became one of the highest-grossing concert arenas in the world, proving that, while sports franchises provide security, pure music venues capture unmatched peak revenues if they can survive the capital intensity of the conversion. Because converted concert arenas live on the unpredictable waves of global touring cycles, their financial statements swing wildly from year to year. In an exceptional year, everything aligns across the macroeconomic and entertainment landscape. Multiple global stadium and arena tours hit the road simultaneously, booking 120 to 140 dates at your facility. Audiences flush with discretionary income spend heavily. Concession per capita spending climbs above $30 per person on high-margin craft beverages, signature cocktails, and premium food. Parking spaces sell out at $50 or more per spot. Facility fees yield millions in pure net margin, and the venue takes a healthy 10 to 20% cut on venue sold tour merchandise. Net operating income can comfortably surge past $20 million, easily servicing historic debt loads and funding reserve capital accounts for future maintenance. But in a difficult year, structural vulnerabilities come home to roost. Top-tier artists choose to take gap years or route their tours strictly through outdoor summer stadiums, cutting your book dates down to under 60 nights. Inflation or consumer fatigue causes attendees to pre-game outside the venue, cutting in-house food and drink spend nearly in half. An unpredicted failure in a vintage 60-ton chiller unit forces emergency capital outlays during a low-revenue quarter. The crushing weight of fixed debt service and facility upkeep turns operating cash flow negative, forcing owners to inject cash or lean on credit facilities to survive until the next major touring cycle. At the end of the day, an empty historic arena is simply tens of thousands of tons of steel and concrete, quietly accumulating depreciation and compounding interest. The true business of owning a historic concert coliseum is not preserving the echoes of the past, but the relentless, high-pressure art of filling tomorrow's calendar. Because in a venue built for tens of thousands of cheering fans, nothing costs more than silence,